Okay, now we are live, right?
Yes.
Hi, Lorena. Thank you a
Hi.
lot for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's see how many people are joining. Can we already see how many? Can I also see how many are in the call, or can you only see it, Olga?
Well, the number changes because sometimes they come in and out. So you just proceed and then we'll see at the end.
So I can already start?
We can start also because this link on YouTube will be saved, meaning that people that missed the first part of the presentation, they can still catch up in the link.
Okay, perfect. All right, well, then let's start. So first of all, welcome to our info event today. We will talk about our UX UI design online crash course. My name is Natalie. I'm the learning manager at the Talent Garden Innovation School Vienna, and I'm responsible for our UX courses and also for this one. So I will also guide you through this info event today. And the agenda will look like this. First of all, I would like to introduce Talent Garden for the ones that don't know it yet. Then I will introduce the crash course itself. I will give you some information about the modules, the content, the dates, the schedule, the project, and much more. And then actually we will have some insights from one of the teachers. So Alberto is joining us today. He's a lead interaction designer at Sketchin, and he's also a teacher of the crash course since quite a long time already. So thanks for joining. And thanks for joining to Lorena Roth. She's one of our alumni and digital director at Identum. And she did the crash course in fall last year, and she will be able to join some insight, share some insights how it is to do the crash course. So thanks for a lot for joining me today, and thanks also to Olga. You can see that she's also there organizing everything with this tool, knowing everything. And we also have a Q&A session at the end where you can ask questions to Alberto, Lorena, or also me about the course. And of course, you can also ask questions in between. So feel free to share your questions in the comment section, and I will answer them right away. Okay, let's start with the introduction of Talent Garden. So what is Talent Garden? Talent Garden was founded in 2011 as a small co-working space, and it quickly expanded in 7 different countries, and we have 18 campuses at the moment in total in whole Europe. So everything started in Italy, but then they expanded to different countries, and now we are already in 7 different ones. Then also a bit later, it became one of Europe's most prominent edutech players with almost 50 programs covering 7 different topics. So it started as a co-working space, but it transformed more and more to an edutech company because we focus more and more on the courses that we offer. The services that we have are actually based on 4 main pillars. So one is still the first idea, the co-working part. So as I just said, we have 18 campuses in different countries, and companies, freelancers, startups can rent office spaces there. Then we also have the Digital Skills Academy, so the education pillar where we offer upskilling and career-changing courses with different formats and different topics, online and on-site. And we also have a corporate transformation pillar, which is where we offer customized corporate education or innovation programs to companies that also want to upskill their employees. And last but not least, we have our event pillar, where it's all about community networking, and we host a lot of events from external people, but also internal, exclusively for our community, with the goal to connect the people that are in our ecosystem. Then I will talk a little bit more about the digital skills, because that's probably also what you're interested in most for now. So Out of the almost 50 courses that we have 10 full-time courses, 15 part-time courses, and also 24 crash courses. So the full-time courses are for people that really want to switch the career. They are very intensive and around 3 months long. And the part-time courses are for people that want to upskill in parallel to their job. They take place in the evenings or on the weekends and are work friendly. And then the crash courses are also usually part-time, but a bit shorter than the other part-time format. So we have different versions and types of courses for the different target groups. The topics that we cover is design, marketing, data, product management, human resources, business innovation, and soft skills. So now I will go to the part of the UX design crash course. So let me tell you a little bit about what it is. So first of all, the key facts are the next edition starts on November the 6th and it's 5 weeks long. So it will be finished on December 7th. It's part-time and the schedule is Monday and Thursday from 6 to 8:30 or 9, depending on the module. And that's the dates where the live sessions take place online. Yeah, location is online, but you have optional campus access to all our talent garden campuses. So if you want to follow the live sessions from here or you want to work from here to experience it, you're definitely invited to do so. We have a class size of maximum 30 participants. The language is English and it's beginner-friendly course and the fee is 1,580 including VAT. And now I would like to mention a few highlights. So one thing is for sure the project. So the whole program is project-based and you will apply all the newly acquired skills to your own personal project. So during the 5 weeks, you will work on this project and I will also tell you a little bit about how it works and what it is about at the later point. Then one other highlight is the experienced instructors that we have. So we really take care that our teachers are all industry experts with minimum of 10 years of experience. We have hands-on workshops. So all our courses are actually very hands-on, meaning that you have interactive and practical live sessions with the experts, yeah, rather than some theory lessons. We also have a very comprehensive curriculum that covers all the major aspects of UX design in those 8 modules that we have. We have a learning platform where you can access all the self-study materials and also you can see all the sessions, all the dates, who is teaching, you can see the other students and so on. And you have access for this also after the course. You can also find there all the slides, for example, so it's, I think, quite convenient that you can also keep it for later when you want to check something. Yeah, you also have the option to book a one-to-one mentoring session with one of the teachers for individual mentoring. That can be helpful if you are interested in a specific topic and you want to dive a little bit deeper. But also when the project starts, it's helpful to get some additional and individual feedback. Yeah, I already mentioned the option campus access. Yeah, you are welcome to come here, come to our campuses and also experience the whole talent garden environment and community. You can also visit events, of course. You can work on your project or follow the live sessions or also meet your colleagues if they're also in the same city. Then networking opportunities is something that is connected to that. So as I said, you can join events that are happening here on the campus, but we also have some other options for you as a student or also afterwards as an alumni to stay in contact with the talent garden community if you want to. Then there is also a link to the brochure and the website. So we will share these slides afterwards with you. So if you want to find out more, you can just click on the brochure and the website and check some more details about the course. So I will talk about the modules now. So what are you going to learn? The course is 5 weeks long, and the sessions are always Mondays and Thursdays, at least the live sessions. So you can see here that in week 1, on Monday, you will start with module 1, which is Introduction to UX and the Human-Centered Design Process. Then on Thursday, it continues with module 2, which is about user research, define the problem, and emphasize with people. Then the second week focuses on idea generation and customer journey. And also then you will start with user interface and interaction design. So you will start working in Figma at the end of week 2. In week 3, you will learn about prototyping, first with a basics module and then with an advanced module. In week 4, you have the last 2 modules, which are UX validation and testing and UX management. And then in week 5, we actually have the project presentations in 2 slots, depending on how many students we have. And I will also talk about what you will learn exactly in the modules in a minute. First, about the method that we're using. So I already mentioned self-study, live sessions, projects, but let me explain a bit better what that means. So first of all, we are using a method that's called flipped classroom in all our courses. And what does this mean? There is a self-study material for each module, and you go through that on the platform to prepare yourself for the live session. So it covers the main theory, the main concepts and methods that you need to know for the live session, because the live sessions are usually very interactive and focus also on exercises. So the next step, as you can see on the slide, is the live session with the teacher on Zoom. And yeah, of course, you can also see your colleagues. It's a bit different than this tool now. So you can see everyone, of course, and also this makes it easier to interact. And yeah, because with the self-study, you already prepared yourself, we can make the live sessions even more interactive and don't have to spend a lot of the time with theory. And then last but not least is the personal projects. So we also have the project-based method, and you will work during the whole course on your project in the live sessions, but also you need to dedicate some extra time for that until the final presentation. Yeah, now I will go through the content of the modules and give you a little bit of an overview of what things you will learn about. So first of all, the module 1 covers an introduction to UX in general and the human-centered design process. So first of all, we will really start from zero. So what is an experience and why positive experience matters? So why are we even thinking about that? Then, of course, some more definitions and terms. So what is UX design? Also, why is it important? But also the differences between UX, usability, and UI. You will also learn about UX design processes that are the double diamond, but also design thinking and human-centric design. Then you will also learn about primary research and secondary research. You will more specifically learn about desk research methods, and the project will be launched in module 1. So in module 1, you will learn what the project is about, and you will already do your first task for the project, which is a desk research. So the very first research that you will do. Then talking about research, the second module is fully about the user research part. So here it's all about defining the problem and emphasizing with people. And you will learn what the objectives of the user research phase are. You will, of course, learn about different user research methods, so qualitative and quantitative. You will also learn how to plan a research with a research brief. You will plan and actually conduct also some user interviews. And then based on that, you will learn how to turn those insights from the interviews to how might we questions. So in all the modules, you also have at least one interactive exercise where you already do things. So in the first, it was like the desk research, but in the second, for example, you already practice the user interviews. Then module 3 is about idea generation customer journey. So in this module, you will learn how to move from the problems that you defined before with the user research to insights, and the insights to solutions. So in module 2, you found out what your what problems the target group has, and now it's about finding out how you can solve them. So you will learn about idea generation tools that you can use to generate some ideas, and you will also learn how to build a customer or user journey map, an experience map, or a service blueprint. So you will learn different methods that you can use to then build the customer journey that you wanna offer the customers with your solution. And the elements of the customer experience map, specifically, you will also build one for your project. Then module 4 will be about UI and interaction design. So as I already mentioned in the beginning, you will start here with diving into Figma, and you will learn about the basics first of all, of course. So even if you have never worked with Figma before, we will, as this is a beginner-friendly course, start also from zero. So basic aspects like navigation, orientation, and interaction patterns. Also, you will learn about user flows in this module, and grids, vertical rhythm in an interface, typography, and also what are wireframes and mockups. So it's really an introduction to the whole topic of UI and interaction design. Then when it comes to prototyping, you will get an overview of what prototyping tools are out there and how you can choose one. You will also learn more about Figma. So here about the library concept and how to use it. You will already set up a library and constraints and auto layout and so on, and create a wireframe in Figma. So if you're not familiar with Figma, you don't know what I'm talking about, but the whole goal is that you, of course, build a prototype in Figma for the solution, for the idea that you created in module 3, which is again based on the research of module 2. So everything is connected and everything is according to the UX design process. Prototyping is a quite important part. So there is another module about that, and you will learn things like why do we even prototype, what techniques are there. So from paper to service prototyping. You will also learn about the fidelity of prototypes from paper to lo-fi and hi-fi, and the purpose, why are there even different fidelities, and some more things in Figma like transitions, animations, variants, auto layout, and how to create a working prototype, which is of course the goal of the prototyping part. And this working prototype, you should also test it with the users. So in module 7, you will learn about the validation and testing phase. You will learn about different validation aspects, conceptual validation, where you test your concept, but also structure validation with card sorting and tree testing to test the structure of your app or prototype. Then also performance validation with A/B testing or crowd testing. And then there is also focus on the usability testing to test the experience and interaction itself that users will have with the product. And to do the usability test, you will learn how to write the task list and how to conduct the test. You will do also a test run in the live session, but then your task is also to really test the prototype that you built with some potential users. And of course, analyze the findings and improve it. Then the last module is about UX management. So to wrap up the whole course, you will learn at the end a few things about how UX is managed in a company, what is UX maturity and how to measure it. You will learn about differences between UX design roles. So what's the difference between UX designer, UI designer, UX researcher, and so on. This is especially helpful if you really want to switch to UX design, you really want to work as a UX designer afterwards. It's a bit difficult to navigate the different job titles. So therefore you get some introductions in this field that you know what to look for. Yeah, you will also learn a bit about the organization of design teams, and you will get an introduction to ritual design and also some retrospective techniques. So I would say this last module is more with the goal. It's not related to the project anymore, but it's giving you more an outlook on how the working life looks like. So how does it really look in companies, and what are your career options? Yeah, and things that are helpful for working as a UX designer, like the ritual design. Okay, so that was the content of the modules. And the last thing I want to share with you before we will also hear some insights from Alberto is about the project. So what is the project about? This is this is something that will be explained in the first module, of course, in more detail, but I quickly want to give you an outlook so that you can imagine what you will work on. So we have broad but very relevant topics. So the whole goal is that you create new digital solutions that drive and foster sustainable behaviors. And the context is, of course, that the urgency of addressing environmental and social challenges and creating a more sustainable future has never been more evident. So the need to adopt sustainable practices is paramount on an individual, but also on a collective level. So that's why we chose this sustainability context. And what does it mean more precisely? So what you will do is you will identify and design solution for more sustainable user behavior through design improvements or new features. And you can actually choose from two existing apps, and there are some environmental and social challenges that we will provide you. So you have a little bit of a freedom to choose what you want to work on, but we will guide you in this direction. So you will choose an app, and then you will think about how you can improve it or what new features you can add to foster sustainable behavior of the users. And we will, of course, guide you through this process with those modules and the exercises and so on. Yeah, you also have the freedom to define a service or a challenge yourself if you want to. So this is for someone that maybe has a specific idea in mind that you want to work on and follow. So this is also something which is possible. And you will go through the whole UX process from user research to a fully functional prototype during these 5 weeks. You will get some individual mentoring from an expert, and you will also present your project in the last week to the experts and your colleagues. And last but not least, of course, you're able to add it to your portfolio or have it as a first project in a newly created UX portfolio. Okay, then the faculty are two people that are working with us already since some years. It's Erika, who is a freelance principal strategic and product designer. She worked previously at companies like Zalando, Bubble, Flaconi, and others. She has more than 11 years of experience in UX design. And then we have Alberto, who is a lead interaction designer at Sketching, who has more than 13 years experience already. And yeah, I'm happy that Alberto is joining us today. So we thought that it's could also be interesting for you to hear from a teacher what the course is about, but also learn a little bit from his experience. So I prepared some questions for Alberto, and afterwards, or also in between, feel free to ask your own questions. Alberto, my first question would be, why did you decide to start a career in UX or UI design in the first
Uh,
place?
okay, so I mean, first of all, hello everybody, and yeah, I mean that's a question that everybody asks always. So in my, I mean, for me was pretty easy. So I studied industrial design, so how to design a real object, so something, a product that you can touch. But then quickly I realized that actually services are the new products, and I mean today we are full of services that are something that we use every day, like Spotify, I mean, carpooling services, everything. So luckily I decided to switch from designing a physical product to designing digital products, and so that's why I became a UX UI designer, because in the end it's always about designing something that fixes a problem of a user. Doesn't matter if it's real or a digital solution, but I decided that actually maybe the digital part was a little bit more interesting. And I mean, luckily I was right, because today it's a big thing. So I mean, that's why.
Okay, thanks. Cool. Then connected to that, my second question is, how did you get there where you're now? What is your education and professional background? I mean, you already mentioned
Yeah.
about your study, but still, I can imagine there were some different steps between that and today.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, as I said before, I studied industrial design because actually, I mean, to be honest, when I graduated, there was no UX course available. So, like, I mean, not so old, but like 10 years ago was like there was nothing. Today, thanks God, there are. So I studied industrial design, and then I basically I started doing industrial designer jobs, and then I mean I was lucky enough to realize that I wanted to change, and I was really lucky because it was a company that actually decided to hire me even if I didn't have any experience in designing digital products. Um, so I switched from that. So I learned a little bit by doing, but of course after I joined that company, I mean, it looks like years ago, ages ago, I mean, I decided that I had to actually dig more into that topic. So I did a bunch of different online courses, and then I would say that the most powerful tool that I have is my curiosity. So I started actually uh, reading basically everything about how to do it, how to design interfaces, uh, and basically more or less that's it. I think that the best thing that happened to me is that I tried to apply the how to design a physical object into the digital world. And I mean, uh, that's pretty similar. I mean, it's not so different because in the end, it's the process that counts and not the basically not the output so
Mm.
much. And in the end, is definitely what we teach in this course. No, I mean, the process to solve any design problem. That's what we teach in this. I mean, that's what we try to teach in these 5 weeks. The process, not so much
Mm-hmm.
about the output itself.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think it's quite a typical, um, let's say, story that I can see also in, yeah, with people that work in UX design. They usually started somewhere else when UX design didn't even exist, and they do some education themselves and so on. So yeah, I think this is also where our course comes in. So if you want to if you want to do a live course with a teacher, I think the course is the right choice. And yeah, why UX design? So my next question would be, why do you think that UX design skills are becoming more and more relevant?
I mean, I would say that it's already relevant. I mean, it's already a thing out there, because I would say that in the last, I don't know, 5 years, maybe more or less, a lot of companies, they realize that, I mean, UX design, it's crucial for their business. So, I mean, the most interesting thing in the end is that you can, I mean, you can work as a UX designer for any kind of company, and that's really cool. So you don't need to work in a design company, because more and more everybody's realizing that it doesn't matter if you sell music or if you sell chairs. If the way people interact with your product it's poor, you will sell less, basically. So every company now is jumping on the UX buzzword, because I mean they want to improve how their customers interact with them. And I mean, if you think about any interface that you interact with, that interface is the company for you. I mean, when you interact with Spotify or I don't know, Car2Go or whatever it is, I mean, in the end, interact just with the interface. That's it. So you don't have any other point of contact with the company. So the way you interact with the interface becomes the way you interact with the company. That's why it's so crucial and so important.
Mm-hmm. Okay, clear. Thanks a lot. Yeah, if people are wondering how a live session with you looks like in this crash course, how would you describe it? How does a typical live session look like?
So I like to make the live session. I mean, I would say entertaining.
Yes.
So
I can confirm.
Totally.
Great. So I like to interact with my students. I mean, I'm not the kind of teacher that just stays there and read a bunch of slides, because that's boring, and that's boring. I mean, if it's boring for students, it's super boring for me as well. So usually the live session starts with a little bit of a wrap up of the self-study material, because maybe somebody didn't get every concept. Maybe there are some questions. So usually there's a little bit of a wrap up. And then I add something live, so some different feature or some different concept that were not in the self-study that brings the knowledge a little bit to another level. And then after that, we always work on the personal project, trying to apply what I just taught to the students. So if we let's say we are working on Figma, and in the live session I explain some other feature on how to do some stuff. Right after I explain that, okay, there is like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour of practice, and students try to apply those stuff. So if they can't make it, basically we're still in the live session, and we can see why it's not working, and everybody can benefit from that part. And at the end, usually there's a little bit of Q&A and a little bit of retrospective on how the lesson was, if everything was clear, if there was something that they didn't grasp, and stuff like that. I hope I didn't forget anything, but Lorena can also.
I can totally, yes, no, I can confirm that, because it was really good, because or especially every class is really interactive. So if you have any questions, all of you are really nice and helpful. And even after the class, if something's really urgent and it's just a tiny question, you will answer it really quickly. So it's a really good teaching experience, because you learn by doing it yourself, and it's a really good mix of it. So I can totally recommend it, and you explain it how your class is. So really good.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Lorena, for jumping in. I will actually continue now to ask you some questions.
Oh.
So, as I already said, Lorena did the crash course last year in fall, and yeah, I would also like to ask you to share some insights with the audience. And first of all, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your educational and your professional background?
Hi, I'm Lorena. I'm a digital director at an advertising agency at Identum, where I initially started as a graphic designer. So I have a graphic design background, and I started not in a digital field at all, but after years, I started to have more digital projects, and I started to work designing websites. And at the beginning, when I started designing websites, you just make things pretty, but you don't really think about how the user is using the product. And then one time I thought, okay, when I tried my own product and I made like an own like I tried my own product, I realized, okay, it's pretty, but it's not practical at all. And then I started to think and research more about user experience. And that's when I thought, okay, well, that's something maybe every agency or everybody should implement into their workflow. When designing something pretty, you have to think about how it's working. And that's when I decided to think and learn more about user experience, and when I started to have those workflows and I implemented them into those in my agency. But I never really knew if that's the right thing that I'm doing, to be honest. And that's when I decided to do this crash course, which really helped me to see how a whole proper workflow from designing a product should work like. So that's kind of like my background.
Okay, thank you. So you mentioned that you decided that you want to learn more about UX design
Yeah.
and to do this crash course, but I would actually be interested in why this crash course, because of course there are so many options out there to learn UX design. You can just read books and articles. You can also do some self-paced courses and so on. So of course there is a lot of offer out there. Why did you choose this course or this format?
Because at the beginning I had the feeling that this is like the most well organized kind of educational course that I could find, and I had a really good feeling because at the beginning there are a lot of like courses with some modules, but in this way I could find a way to combine work and uh, do this course at night and kind of like combine it with my work life. So, and I had the feeling, okay, this is for a really in a short time I could learn a lot, which is true. At the end, I could see it was working, and like all the benefits that you mentioned before with the network that you have. So now I'm in this alumni network where there are a lot of also interesting networking events where I benefit until now, which is really good, and I can totally recommend that.
Okay, cool. Good to hear. What would you say was your main takeaway from the crash course?
The process of user experience, or like the process of the whole design thing, because now I don't use this process only in designing products. I use this process now in any conceptual work in the digital field. So, for example, you learn a lot of different kind of idea generation methods, which we now use in the agency to find ideas for some namings, for example. So you can learn a lot of insights that are not only for user experience, but are also good for the creative field and the whole online user experience field. And one thing that my biggest takeaway, because before that I used I used Adobe XD. Alberto is laughing because after this course, I kind of learned, okay, the benefits of Figma, and Figma is now like a holy, is now like the holy way of designing products, and not in a product way, also for social media postings, for everything. That's like my biggest takeaway, that use Figma and nothing else.
That's good to hear for Alberto. All right. Sounds really good. What would you say did you like best about the course? I mean, you already mentioned a few things. yeah, but is there something else, or what's the one thing that you really like best, if there is something?
Well, I also really liked how you get to meet, or like you have a lot of breakout sessions and then you work with other people and you kind of see how it is to work quickly with other people or in different teams. That's how you learn how a team is working differently. And that's like one thing I really liked as well. So there's not one thing. I really like the course, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Okay, nice. And yeah, last question and message to the audience. You can already, if you have questions, put them in the comments. So no matter if it's a question for Lorena or Alberto or maybe me, you can already put them there, and then they're already ready to be answered. But yeah, my last question to Lorena would be, how did it impact your career? So you did not change your job, right, after the crash course, but I'm pretty
Yes.
sure that you do some things differently now, not only now that you use Figma now instead of other tools, but how did it really impact your whole thinking maybe, or your job? Yeah, maybe you can share here some things.
It definitely depended on our workflow in the whole agency, because now I really try to implement those workflow things on every creative project. And for my personal career, it really helped me to figure out where I want to go. So I realized, okay, the whole digital and user experience field is really interesting, and that's where I really want to have more projects in. And I decided, or my agency and I would decide, okay, this would be a really good job position for me to focus on the digital user experience field. And now I started as a graphic designer, and now I'm a digital director there. And I've had a lot of different online projects like the past year since then. So I can say it had a big impact on my career.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you. Also, Alberto, again, thank you both for answering my questions. Let's see if we have some from the audience.
There's nothing in the comment section, and I just want to tell
Not yet?
everyone that not yet. I mean, I want to tell everyone that I also said this in the beginning, but some people are coming a little bit later in the meeting. So you will receive the link that will also be available after this event, meaning that you can go through the presentation one more time. And if you have questions, of course, they can also reach out to us through email.
Yeah, thank you, Orta. We can still wait a bit. Maybe something comes up in between. While we wait, I have more questions also, so I would just ask another one, and we can see
Yeah,
if
we
there are
already
some.
have one in the comments, so I will
Perfect.
just share it here.
So, would you recommend a course for someone who already has some UX or UI experience? Good question.
I guess it's mine.
Yeah, I bet maybe you want to answer it.
Okay. I mean, depends on the experience. So I would say that, as Lorena said, I think that one of the most the most valuable thing in the course is that in 5 weeks we take a complete overview on the whole design process. So if you have some UX UI experience because let's say that you work somewhere where you design some kind of interface, a website, that's cool, but this is just a tiny part of the overall design process, because we cover also the whole research part at the beginning. We cover also the generation, the testing in the end. So depends on how how much is your experience. But if you can say that your experience is it's concentrated, it's focused on some part of the design process, I would say that makes sense to take this class, because we see the overall process. And usually, or you work in in a, let's say, in a design studio, or some companies that really apply the overall design process, or usually if you have some experience, it's really inside one specific topic of design, so you completely miss the rest of it. So I would say yes.
Thank you. I would agree. I can also share that we usually have a few people also that even work already as UX UI designers. Yeah. And they usually, similar to Alberto, started in another field, and they started to learn themselves. But at one point they realized that they have the feeling that they miss a part. So this is exactly what also Alberto mentioned. You really get a good understanding of the whole process from the beginning to the end. But also, I think even if you already learned about UX UI design, you probably haven't learned from Erika and Alberto. So I really think that this is also very valuable, that you learn from experts and that you also work on the project. They guide you through the whole project. And I think there is still things that you will take away from the course. So maybe there is another question. Connected to this, I mean, maybe Alberto or Lorena, maybe you want to share some thoughts on who should do the course in your opinion. So now we discussed somebody that already has some experience could do it, but who, if there is somebody now still thinking whether he or she should join or not, who are the people that you think should do the course?
Well, I think it depends what your goal is. So I remember in my course we had some people that had a special background, had a similar background as I have. So some of them were like graphic designers, so have a design background. For them it was really easy to work with Figma and design like the product, but we had more problems with the experience field, so with the steps before. But there were also a lot of people, or some people that have no design background at all, and for them it was also really interesting and good to see how the design process is working. So for me, there's not that I can say there is a special field that I can recommend it for people, and not it's more what you want to learn. So it's really good if you have no idea at all, and also if you're already a little bit in the field of UX and UI design, then you have like the whole overview of the whole UX and UI process.
If I can add something, Natalie, I would say that usually I can divide people that attend the course into two main groups. There is like who attend the course because want to become a UX designer. So somebody that wants to actually learn a new job, let's say. And for those people, basically, usually they're like, or they don't know anything about design, so it makes sense that they take this course, or as we said before, they already work in the design field but in a specific part, and they want to jump to another, or they want to see the big picture about design. And the other group of people that usually take this class and they can benefit a lot what we do is people that work with designers. So a lot of people that actually take our course, usually their goal is not to become a designer, so it's not to switch their job, but maybe, I don't know, let's say it's a PMO or a project manager or somebody, or a developer, somebody that works close with other designers, and they say, yeah, but I want to know a little bit more about how the design process can be done. So when I talk with the designer in my team, I'm not a completely stranger to them, but I know how it should be done and what they're doing right now. So yeah, so I would say two kind of people: who wants to become a designer and who wants to have a little bit more knowledge about what's design, so they can interact a little more better inside their company with other designers.
Yeah, definitely. I can only agree. Okay, so feel free to ask questions in the chat if you have some. So even while we're talking, feel free to add. I would have one last question, but at the same time, as I said, please feel free to write your questions. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about the project, because this is also an important part of the course. So could you share some insights, either one of you? So Alberto, you saw a lot of project presentations already. How do you think people are doing? What are they working on? Or also Lorena, if you want to share what your project was about and how you felt working on this project, I think that could also be interesting for the audience. And we have one other question, so maybe you can answer mine quickly, and then we can go to the other question.
Okay, that I start. We had a food delivery services that we had to design, but not the whole user flow, but we had to pick like one little part of the whole user flow and design this project. So that was really good to see in theory how everything is working. So at the end, you have a project presentation where you also get some feedback, which is also really good to have like an openly feedback on your project. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can add something, I would say, so this year we changed the project brief, because we always try to make something new. But what's in common is that basically we never give a precise service to the design, because that's not how it works. So we don't give a name of a service, but we explain a service that everybody knows, and we ask the students to integrate new feature inside that service to make it better. To make it, this year is like to make it to achieve some environmental challenge that is like, I mean, nowadays it's pretty important. And as Lorien said, I value a lot the final presentation, because I mean, the overall project, it's really done in the way how a client will behave when they come to a design studio. The same stuff, basically. And so we value a lot also the final presentation, because it's how you will present it to the client. So there is, as Lorien said, there is also a lot of feedback about how to explain stuff, what makes sense to show, or what makes sense to just cover and show only the output. So I mean, I would say that the project, it's really the core of our course, and I mean, it's really important. And usually it's there is also a lot of fun in the project as well. So I guess I can answer to Gabriele, right? That says if for beginners is there anything useful and preparatory that they could do before the course. I would say no. I mean, of course, you can do. I mean, you can read and learn Figma by your own or other stuff. That's fine. But how we structure the classes, that I mean, we don't give anything for granted. So we start from the very basic, from the beginning, and we teach. So basically, everybody on the same side. You don't need any other program beside Figma, because that's the only tool we will use, even if in a specific module, I don't remember which one, but with me we will cover the rest of the tool, because there are it's plenty of design tool out there. So we use Figma because right now is like the only choice, basically, where everybody's going. So it makes sense. But I would like to say, Natalie, that we don't teach Figma. We teach a process in the design. And then you can, of course, we use Figma to do that, because right now is the place to go. But if tomorrow another tool comes up, basically it's the same, because we teach how to use the tool, not really the tool itself. So let's say for example, one class, it's about creating a new typography. If you remember, Lorena was the one with the music scale that we did. Doesn't matter. I mean, you can do it in Figma or in Adobe XD if you really want to use Adobe XD. Basically, it's the same. Then of course we do it in Figma because for us it's better, but the tool is not so important, I would say. I hope I answered to Gabriele.
Yeah, I can also add here that if you want to already do some reading or practicing, if you enroll in the course, you get also a welcome program on the learning platform where you go through, and there you can also find some UX resources. So some links that we collected that from our teachers, but also from all the previous classes, there is already quite a lot of stuff that you can go through if you want. So you can, of course, already start reading about UX design, or you can already do some very first beginner tutorials in Figma, but you don't need to do it because we will start from the beginning. But if you want, we provide you with something that you can go through.
And at the end of each course, there is also like, you get a list or some recommendation of other links that are really interesting. And if you're really interested in stuff, you can look for it as well.
Yes, good point. So for each module, we also have some bonus material, some optional material that you can go through if you want to dive deeper into the topic. All right. So do we have one last question maybe from the audience?
Or maybe not.
Maybe not. Then every question was already answered. That's also good. Okay. Then I would say thanks a lot for joining us, Alberto and Lorena. Thanks a lot for answering all the questions.
Thank you.
Or do you have something I have to mention now to the audience? You already shared in the beginning, there is a recording. You will also get a follow-up email with the slides, of course. Is there something else? From your side or?
From my side, no.
No. Okay, perfect. I mentioned everything. All right, then thanks a lot for joining. Thanks a lot for listening, and hope to see you in our crash course that starts in a few weeks.
Gabriele, for sure. I know that he's enrolled.
Perfect. Then see you soon.
See you. Thank you,
All
guys.
right. Have a nice
Bye-bye,
evening, everyone.
Bye.
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 Ciao.